Today, the Department of Justice is opening an investigation into whether the Baltimore Police Department has engaged in a pattern or practice of violations of the Constitution or federal law.
Our new Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, announcing that Department of Justice investigation of the City of Baltimore's Police Department. The AG's announcement comes after Baltimore's mayor asked the Justice Department for assistance following riots after the funeral of a man who died while in police custody. According to our parent website, Newsmax.com, the investigation begins immediately, focusing on allegations that Baltimore police officers used excessive force, conducted unlawful seizures and arrests, and engaged in discrimination. Let's bring in our panel. Joining us now, the former Lieutenant Governor of New York, Skyping in from that location, Betsy McCaughey. Also joining us, political analyst and Newsmax contributor from Newsmax LA, it's our good friend Larry Elder. To you both, welcome to Newsmax Prime.
Thanks.
And as we get to this, the irony of the timing of this investigation of the Baltimore Police Department from the administration that sent 3 officials to the funeral of Freddie Gray, the black man who died in Baltimore police custody, but today, at the funeral of the young NYPD officer, no representative of the Obama administration. How on earth can that be justified? Betsy, let's begin with you.
Well, it clearly isn't. The New York event was extremely moving for all of us. It was like a family of glue. Officers from all around the nation converged on New York. Most moving of all was to see the families of Officers Liu and Ramos, who were gunned down, assassinated in their squad car in December. New York is seeing 5 murders of police officers. There should be demonstrations, marches, and ceremonies protesting the carnage against our police force. And instead, no investigations at all, really. And we see the Justice Department once again jumping the gun. It's not the cops who are jumping the gun. It's the Justice Department jumping the gun, just as they did in Ferguson, and going into a city with the assumption that things are being done incorrectly rather than with an open mind.
Larry Elder, was this an oversight by the administration, or do you believe this was done with deliberate intent, failing to send a representative to the funeral of the NYPD officer?
I think either option, JD, is bad. It's bad optics. As Betsy pointed out, this is now the 5th shooting of an NYPD officer. 3 have been dead, including officers Liu and Ramos. The union says that attacks against officers are up 50%, and it is clearly because of all this hands up, don't shoot nonsense, which turned out to be nonsense. What I think this is, JD, is that people are finding out what police practices really are like. Remember that line from the movie A Few Good Men? You can't handle the truth. People don't want to know that suspects lie, that they go limp the way Freddie Gray did, that they often say things like, I can't breathe. That's the reality. It looks ugly, but those are the facts. And so if you want to go into Baltimore and find something wrong with the PD, you'll find it. But that will not make people in Baltimore safer.
And again, we think about the fallen New York officer, Brian Moore. Betsy, to the credit of the new mayor, he was there at the funeral eulogizing the fallen officer. Do you think Bill de Blasio has gotten an education in his short time as mayor of the Big Apple?
He's a politician. He'd be eulogizing over a watermelon if it got him more votes. The fact is that he was there because he knows he can't afford not to be there. But Bill de Blasio's very divisive rhetoric has to have something to do with, is in part culpable, responsible for the deaths of these officers, because he diminished the value of blue lives in New York.
Well, again, politicians of all stripes showed up today in the Big Apple, but Larry Elder, for the nation's top politician, someone as adroit as Barack Obama, to fail to send anyone to the service. What does that tell us about our current chief executive?
As far as I'm concerned, JD, it tells us that he's picked a side. Here's the problem. In Ferguson, you can at least make the argument that the people there lack political power. You can't do that in Baltimore. You've got a police department that's 40% black. I understand 55% of the applicants for the department are black. The top two officials in the department are black. So if these people are engaging in brutality and racially profiling, then why demonstrate over the failure of Ferguson to have a diverse police force? What you're really saying is, once you put on the blue and put on the badge, you become a pariah, the same as a white guy becomes a pariah. So why is this? Why are we yelling and screaming about the lack of diversity in Ferguson?
And Larry's making such a good point, JD, because this is not a racial issue. If in fact the cops and the victims are the same color, this is not a racial issue.
And on that note, we will have to end it. Betsy McCaughey in New York, Larry Elder at Newsmax LA, we thank you for your time and your insights. Now, you heard what they had to say. What do you have to say? Send me your comments via email. You can also use Facebook and Twitter. And Newsmax Prime will continue.